Hello, I'd like to talk about the challenges in making Neverending Nightmares. I think Neverending Nightmares is the most difficult project I've ever worked on. And I've worked on some challenging projects. Certainly, Retrograde had a lot of technical challenges. We made a lot of things challenging for ourselves, and in general, indie game development is very challenging just because there's so many different things you have to do. Besides make the game. Making the game sometimes feels like the easy part, because you have to get PR, you have to get press, you have to, put your game out there, you have to make sure everyone knows about it, and there's all sorts of management and technical things like getting it out on platforms, you have to meet requirements, and certainly that's more challenging on consoles than like Steam and whatnot, but still, I mean, there's a lot of work that needs to get done that you sort of don't think about when you're making the game, and I think to some extent that was a problem we had on Retrograde, is that mostly I focused on implementing the game, and that was sort of my main thing, and I thought making a good game would equate to sales, and I don't think that's necessarily correct anymore, but Neverending Nightmares is very challenging just because we're trying to do something different, which I think is always a good thing, but the idea, the core of the game is kind of abstract, and then I have all these ideas, and a lot of the inspiration for the game doesn't come down to the mechanics, and so we have to do the game mechanics. And so one of the most difficult things, is challenge for the game mechanics. So this video is sort of doubly about challenge, because well, challenge is normally a difficult thing to get right, and one of the things we did with Retrograde was we had, I think it was 6 difficulties, it might have been 5, but I think it was 6, and we originally, I think, maybe started with 5 and then added a 6, just because there were some people who had trouble with the easiest difficulty, and that was a good way to be able to offer something interesting to every player. I don't think every player can do the hardest difficulty level, and many people are bored to tears on the easiest difficulty level, but we tried to create something for everyone, and to some extent that sort of bit us in the butt when we went to do challenge mode, because challenge mode starts out with the easiest difficulty, and then there's sort of warps you can skip by. But I feel like people played challenge mode the first level and are like, this is dumb, and then, just said, forget challenge mode, when really I think that the best content in the game is in challenge mode, and we have some, insanely difficult challenges that are really fun and really crazy, but I think, people don't want to, I don't know, I tried to design it so basically, the time to interesting content because of the warps would be very short, and there would just be sort of some instructional things, but I think that was a failure on my part, because originally we started, challenge mode was 10 difficulties, 10 levels each, and so you just select it from the menu, and then we added this Super Mario World map, and that was supposed to help, make it more interesting, and I think it did, but I think well, I screwed up there. But anyway, because we don't have any sort of difficulty system, and we're trying to be really light on interface, it's a constant balancing act between sort of the brutality of the game, and making it something that people don't get stuck on or don't get frustrated, or at least frustrated in a way that they don't want to play. And certainly I talked about negative emotions and frustration, expressing that through a game. And I've had some really interesting comments on that. I don't know if I have any more insights. I mean, in that, people bring up Dark Souls, and everyone says Dark Souls is a good game, but I think it would be too frustrating for me. I don't think I could handle it, and I don't want to make, well, certainly I would hope, I aspire to create a game that's as good as Dark Souls, but I mean, hopefully, it's different in terms of difficulty, because I want to have a low barrier to entry. I want everyone interested in the game to be able to get through the game, because, to me the game is about more than entertainment. It's about expressing part of myself. It's about expressing, my experiences with mental illness, and I think it will be very interesting in that regard. So, I mean, I don't want anyone to, get stuck and give up, because I think there's things that I want to share, and I don't want people to just call it quits. But that's a difficult thing to balance with, the fact that the enemies have to be threatening. Otherwise, they're not scary. I mean, if, they just, I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking of like Haunt, or was it Haunt? I think it was Haunt. It was like a Kinect horror-ish game, like a kiddie horror, or like, I don't know, Grab by the Ghoulies or something. I mean, I don't know, people have tried to make like children's horror games, Luigi's Mansion or whatever, but I mean, the enemies in that don't, strike fear. It's very different from Neverending Nightmares, and I feel like if we, make the enemies completely non-threatening or don't have enemies, then we don't have that, we're not getting all of that fear. So, it's definitely challenging, and also it's challenging to express things about myself, to, tell the story about, about myself, and put that in a way into the game that's interesting. So really, it's challenges all around. But again, I think it's going to be very rewarding, and I'm really excited about how the game is turning out, and I can't wait to play it when it's done.